Good morning, this is John Cottos and welcome to ComSpark 2019. I'd like to introduce my co-host, Ben Beshear from Beshear Financial, and our guest today is Dwayne Emerson. And we're here today to talk about careers. We're not going to talk about technology, but focus more on the career challenges that CIOs face. And Dwayne, I'd ask you if you could comment on a career challenge that you're facing in your position right now.
Yeah, so thanks for having me. It's the show's fantastic, and learning a lot about the challenges I face are also a lot of the challenges that a lot of people here today are facing as well. And I think it's about finding time to be able to conduct and successfully absorb new information so that you can continue to reskill and remain relevant. The pace of technology is changing so fast. It's not, like you said, it's not always about a technical thing. It's also about the business side of things and being able to tie things together. So one of the biggest challenges is obviously keeping up with the pace of technology and the skills required to be effective in your job.
We've heard about two things today. One being the one you just mentioned was how do you keep up with technology, and two, how do you continue to find talent in an environment that is changing and is very competitive?
Yeah, so I think you hire for talent, you train for skill, right? You know, I think in the younger workforce and the people that we're working with, they have to have a passion to learn and a willingness to fail without fear. And that's a big deal, because in my generation, failure was fatal, right? It typically was the end of that particular opportunity. And that's just not the way the world is anymore. And so I think the younger generation, when you're working with them to try to find homes for them in your organization, is being fearless and also, trying to move really fast. If they have those fundamentals along with some knowledge and even experience is better, that's fantastic, because you can do something with that, and I think that's very important. There's a lot of people out there with that sort of mentality right now.
Dwayne, as a CIO, one of the challenges you face is not being pigeonholed as a technologist. And let me ask you how you step away from technology and communicate with your peers and with the C-suite.
Yeah, so we do often get sort of put in the pigeonhole of, when it becomes a technical conversation, I'll call on you. But it really should be more about the experience, right? No matter what industry you're in or what department you're in, you should all be focused on the experience you're trying to deliver for the employees of that company or that company's customers. That's what all the technology is supposed to solve. And so I think you really have to make sure that you focus on the business outcomes. What are the business challenges? Let me worry about the technology and which brand, model, vendor, and timeline. Make sure that I'm clear on the business values, make sure that I can articulate back to you what those business outcomes are going to be. Then I think you start to get out of that box and more invited to the larger conversation about the strategy of the company. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And is that an art you learned over time? If you were giving advice to people that are younger in their career in technology, how do you balance the art of when to get into the details and the art of when to stay high level and focus on the business?
Yeah, so you really need to read the room. You need to do a lot of research on what the different executives' background is, what's important to them, and you need to make sure that when you're talking about a technical subject that you can resonate with their own experience, so to speak. And I think, for me, in the last 30 years that I've been doing this, although most of my training and background has been technical, I spent a lot of time taking finance and marketing courses, and I spent a ton of time with customers. And I think that changes the game dramatically when you look at it from the customer's perspective. That in itself really sort of is the game changer, was for me anyway.
Dwayne, in most successful careers, people run into situations where they have missteps. Can you tell us about a do-over that you'd like to have the opportunity to approach again?
Yeah, so failure's not fatal, right? And I think I was fearful of failing. Like I mentioned earlier, back in earlier times in my career, that's sort of the norm. You fail, you're out. So I wish I had just had the bravery to just go ahead and fail, because I could have moved so much faster. And I think the second part of the answer to that is I wish I'd involved other departments such as information security and what I was doing in IT sooner. Today, That's not permitted at all. There's no way that you can have a conversation about technology that doesn't include many, many different departments. And I unfortunately, took the normal road, which was, I guess the security guys will figure that out. I've got to do this. So those were a couple of mistakes that I think maybe some of the folks listening or watching this might find relevant. Yeah.
And what can people do today, not only to branch out within their company, but also branch out and network beyond their company?
Yeah, well, obviously the ComSpark stuff is very, very important to attend events like this, but you really have to, again, be a little bit fearless and get out there and say, hi, my name's Dwayne, what do you do? Don't worry about who I am, where I came from. You really need to engage with people and understand the experiences. And I'm a bit of an introvert when CIOs, CTOs, we're all sort of not so always the most approachable people. But when you start interacting with them, you understand what the problems are they're having, the challenges and stuff. Places like ComSpark is huge. And I think that you also really need to keep up with what the businesses are doing, from whatever source you get your media from today, and I'll leave it at that, is we need to understand that that's really the problems that people and customers and companies are trying to solve. So if you take that information, bring that forward, it creates a very nice network for you to understand what you need to continue to develop in your own skill sets. Yeah.
Dwayne, one last question.
Sure.
Could you tell us about some factor, some person in your career who has taught you lessons and kind of kept you on the right path?
Yeah, so Jack Casady, who used to be the CEO at Cincinnati Bell, he and I also worked together at General Electric in Lynchburg, Virginia, many, many years ago. And Jack would just beat me up and down the hallway at times because I didn't come in with some of the facts, or maybe I didn't have things verified. I trusted, but I didn't verify. And Jack taught me how to be, very, very crisp, a very GE traditional. If you can't talk about your business on one page, you don't understand it well enough sort of perspective. And Jack made sure of that every day, particularly when he opened the elevator doors and the elevator wasn't there. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Dwayne.
Yeah,
and thank you for
me.
listening to our interview. If you'd like more information, visit us at ComSpark Tech. Thanks, Dwayne. I had to get that last one in.